Let's kind of stealthily move up to this tree. I'm kind of going to just drift up to it. Hey guys and girls, welcome to a little episode here where we're going to try to vertically jig for some crappie. And vertically jigging is a crappie technique that has really kind of been lost a little bit unless you're fishing minnows. But vertically jigging is where we're going to get around trees, boat docks, bridges, and we're going to simply vertically jig. We're going to get in real tight, and I'm kind of slipping up here to these trees. And a lot of times you just drop right down there and get hung up. Golly, that's terrible. Oh, I got it loose. I got it loose. I got it loose. I want to be real, real careful here and not bump into these trees. Sometimes it doesn't matter. But I'd rather be really careful when I'm vertically jigging and be real careful and kind of try to slip up on these fish and ease that bait down there. And one of the things about vertically jigging, I am fishing with an open hook. I have no weed guard on here. I got a little V-head, diamond head jig on there. And I'm dropping down, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go all the way to bottom. And then I'm going to raise up, take up a little slack, and I'm going to drop my jig. You see what I'm doing there with my rod tip? In other words, I'm not jigging up like that. I'm jigging down. Swimming that bait around and jigging down. That's one of the key things if you're going to fish vertically. You can move it around sideways a little bit. If you're going to make any movement with that, you want to make it a dip and not a jerk up, but a dip down with your rod tip. That's probably the key thing to remember in vertically jigging for crappie. Because what you want to do when you're dipping that bait down, it's really, really thick down there. When you're dipping that bait down, you can kind of look at it out there and see. You see it there in the water? Now what happens, you see it there in the water, now you can't see it very deep, so I'm just going to show you here. When you got that that's a little swimming minnow by Lucky Strike. When you dip down, you see what's happening? See when I dip it? See how it stop and now what happens when you jerk up? See what happens when you jerk up? It doesn't look nearly as good. So you want to dip that thing down. I'll pull back over at the tree again. I've got a really calm evening, so if I can find a tree that's got a crappie or two in it, we ought to be able to catch them. One of the reasons I'm using a swim bait, that's a tiny swim bait, but that's really what that is. That's just a swim bait. Little Lucky Strike swimming minnow. It's about a 2.5-inch bait, something like that. And but one of the reasons I like to use that bait instead of like a regular little crappie jig or something is that I have a tendency on that bait to catch a little bit larger crappie, sometimes a lot larger crappie. And also I have a tendency to catch a lot of bass on it. And once I find out an area where they are, if I can figure out the depth, that's one of the key things, is figuring out the depth. It's so thick down there, I'm just barely moving that thing, and when I do, I get hung up. So it's really thick cover down there. That's one of the reasons you vertically jig in the first place. You could cast at these trees. Felt like I had a bite on the way down there. This is a great wintertime technique when you're fishing around boat docks, deep brush piles, bridge pilings. Here we're talking trees. Now a lot of times it's so thick down there, it's like down there where I am right now. That was a bluegill that bit it then, I think. You can't really move it side to side. A lot of areas when you're vertically jigging, you can simply swim that bait side to side slowly and then just dip your rod tip like I'm doing right there. The problem I've got here is it's just so thick down there. I think that was a bluegill there, sports fans, or a little bass. We're getting ready to find out if I can wind. That's what we came after. It's a really nice crappie. I missed him there to begin with. That's a really nice crappie. Look how deep he took that swim bait. I mean, he's got it way, way down in his mouth. And Now I haven't fished around these trees in a long time. This is the first tree I've hit. But now what I am is I'm right on the edge. If you'll look down, you'll see wide open water behind me. I'm right on the edge of a, golly, he is hooked. I'd like to get that out of him and not hurt that fish. If I was going to fillet you, it wouldn't matter, but I'm not going to fillet you, so. There, I got it. That's a really nice big crappie right there. That's a good way. Bleeding just a little bit. I hope I didn't kill him. I might have. Now, did you see how long that bait was down there before that fish bit? That's one of the advantages of vertical jigging, is because you can leave your bait down where the fish are for a long time. Now, you can get on, if you got good electronics where you can look down there and see if there's fish there or not. A lot of times the fish that you're seeing on your electronics when you're bass fishing, a lot of times they are crappie. So it's, if you're out here doing what I'm doing right now, it's exactly what you're looking for. Sometimes there's 8 or 10 will be around one tree. Sometimes it's only one fish there. Catch that fish, you need to move on to another tree, another bridge piling, another boat dock. But crappie are schoolfish, so usually there's more than one. There's some more fish right here. See all these fish right here on this right here? Those are all fish right there. And probably those are probably crappie. See them right there? See, it's a brush pile right here laying on the bottom. Okay, now come over here. Now you can just pick your line up like this. You don't even need to wind it in. See what I've done right here? I'm going to drop that right down, try to miss that tree. Go right down there. Vertical jigging is a slow, easy technique. But once you catch on to it, and once you kind of figure out the depth, and depth is a critical deal, and crappie layer in depth. That's one of the cool things about a crappie is they will layer. In other words, you may have crappie that are this deep in a layer. That might be 12 foot off the bottom. And all the crappie right there, the big school, are all in an area like this, or maybe like this. And so if you're below them or above them, you don't have a chance to catch them. You've got to get right in that deal. And I'm going to tell you a little secret here in a second about how to duplicate that depth. Okay, well, we're running out of daylight. The critical thing, like I said, is when you jig, you're going to vertical jig. And if you're in a really thick stuff like we are here, you're going to have to just basically, I mean vertically. Be real stealthy when you slip up on these trees. Pay attention to your locator. Watch for those fish. Watch for stuff under there that you can't see above the water. And move your rod tip down. When you move that thing, move your rod tip down. Now, I told you I was going to give you a little tip about the depth. A lot of times we find that layer of depth as we start working up. Now, only turn about a quarter of a turn of your reel when you're working up, like I'm doing right here. Only about a quarter of a turn. Don't turn any more than that. But once you catch a fish, if you will, and you hook that fish, you can take a magic marker out of your pocket. I happen to have one. Take a magic marker out of your pocket and mark your line right there where you caught that fish. Right there where you caught that fish. Just put a mark on your line. See that little black mark? Now, I get ready to go back down. My next time down, I can go down the exact same depth. The exact same depth. See that little mark right there? Now, obviously, after you've caught fish at various depths, you're going to have a few marks on your line, but that magic marker that mark won't stay there forever. So you don't have to worry about that. See what I've done right there? I'll go right straight down. Now, if that was the depth that I get a bite, as you work that bait up, there's one. That didn't hit it on the way down. That hit it on the way down. The line just kind of went slick, hit it on the way down. When the line went slack on the way down, go ahead and set the hook. Something's happened that you need to get involved in. Really nice crappie right there. I'm going to drop down there again. Now, even in the hot summertime, even the water 90 degrees, you can vertically jig and catch crappie, and you can catch a lot of them. One of the key things that you want to do is determine the depth that those fish are, and then obviously find them. But you know, you can sometimes in the summertime, there may be only 1 or 2 or 3 on these trees. There may only be 1 or 2 on the bridge pilings. But if you move from spot to spot to spot, you see there's a lot of trees right here. All of these are out on this edge. These are out on a point that goes out there and drops off into that creek. So as I move through here, I'll bring that bait up just a little bit, just barely turn it, like a quarter of a turn, a third of a turn. Move it around, move it around. Dip, 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 like the get-up dance. Dip, will he take a sip? Well, as you can tell, I quit vertically jigging. That sun got down below the mountain over there, and one of the things about fishing that little swimming minnow for crappie, not only do you catch a little bit bigger crappie on it, but you usually catch a lot of bass on it too. It's a great bass fishing bait. It's one of those little baits, a little bit like a mushroom head jig that's tiny, and being tiny, it'll catch a lot of fish, and it'll catch big fish. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But you know, you get in here close to the evening, you catch you a mess of crappie, and you start going down there and just swimming that swim bait, letting it fall, slow rolling down, swimming. Now I've got it kind of away from the cover right now. I'm not throwing up in that real thick, heavy stuff or vertically jigging like I was. Just out here seeing if I can get a bass to hit that thing. But I'm getting bluegill to hit it. You get a lot of bluegill bites on that little bait right there. It's one of those baits that, you know, basically it'll catch everything that swims. And I think I got another crappie. No, it's probably a bass. Probably a bass. But it will catch bass, and you get down late in the evening after you got a mess of crappie in your box, catch you a few of those right there. Swim baiting for crappie with a little bonus on the side. Hey guys and girls, try a little vertical jigging for crappie around them bridge pilings, boat docks, trees, anywhere you can find heavy cover down in deep water. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share a few videos with your friends. We're being attacked by the Air Force. Later, guys and girls. I love you. Look at this crappie. Look at this crappie. Holy smokes. I thought this was a bass for a minute. I think it's a giant crappie. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Looky there, sports fans. Now that is a crappie. That is a crappie right there. You know, vertically jigging is a great way to catch crappie if you're in really thick stuff. And that is a giant. That's a 2-pound plus crappie right here at dark. I just caught a bass, and then I just made a few more pitches in there and caught a big giant crappie. If you didn't hit that subscribe button a minute ago, hit it now. A little diamond head jig, a little swimming minnow swim bait. It'll put a lot of fish in a boat, no doubt about it. Another great bait to use with your young'un, just getting them started on fishing. Get you plenty though, because as you can see, it hangs up pretty badly. Later, guys and girls.